I'm ready.
All right, Ultra Nation. My name is Reed Nelson. I'm joined today by Izzy Alkafas. This is the final four predictions of This Week in Rec. 3 games left in the season. The three teams combined record of 35-5 this season. So a win percentage of almost 88%. Someone has to lose tomorrow night. So we'll get right to it. The first game of the night, 7:30 in Bloomington. Goodfellas, the 1 seed, versus the 5 seeded off constantly. I've not heard any new news on either Ryan Samuelson or Garland Sanchez. Last I heard, I believe it was uh, Garland was going to play for the Goodfellas.
I think they're no. I think they're going off. Colin's going off constantly, and I think Ryan's going with the Goodfellas, right?
Well, here's the thing. I don't remember, and the reason I don't remember is because my source wasn't that positive. So,
Okay.
so I guess we'll just see tomorrow night. It'll be a nice surprise. So, um, this is a both games are cross league matchups. So obviously these two teams haven't played against each other. Keys to victory for both teams, and who do you think comes up on top?
Well, with Garland playing with off constantly, kind of evens the teams up a little bit. Um, you know, off constantly small the way it was. So if they would have lost Garland, they would have been even smaller. With Chase and Lynch, that's going to be really the key for the Goodfellas to win because Garland and Kurt and Pinkett are going to have a tough time with both those guys on the glass. So if the Goodfellas want to win, they need to have Lynch and Chase control the boards and allow Hoyle and Ryan Samuelson to, they're going to have their turnovers because they're going to be faced against Marmol, DuPont, Jansen, three really great guard defenders, and they're probably going to have, a handful of turnovers. So if Lynch and Chase can limit second chance points, it'll make up for the turnovers that Ryan and Josh are probably going to cough up to the guards. So if they win that battle down low easily, then the Goodfellas should win that game. Off constantly is great. They have, like I said, they have three great guards, and they're explosive. They can score in bunches. Uh, the issue with them is Ryan Samuelson's a huge part of that little team. He's their best three-point shooter. Without Ryan, they're really down to just Bryant as a three-point threat on a consistent basis. So if the Goodfellas wanted to get cute, they could even employ a little bit of a zone and see if that kind of takes off constantly out of rhythm. Um, I think the Goodfellas will win this game. I think they deserve it more. I think they're just a little bit better all around. I think the key for them, outside of dominating down low, is getting Emmanuel to stay not only just involved in the game, but keep his mood positive because he goes through a lot of mood swings. He tends to get really up and down as the sometimes mopes around. If he stays engaged and he stays positive throughout the game, he can have a huge footprint in that game. He's a tough matchup for anybody to guard. So if he really starts to get going, then Jansen has to, spend his energy guarding Emmanuel, which frees up everybody else. So I'm going to go Goodfellas. I'm going to go, a few possession game. I don't think it'll go down to the wire. I think the Goodfellas will win by stretching out the lead with free throws.
How much does last season's Goodfellas disappointment either help them or hurt them going into tomorrow night? Do they have nightmares about that game, or does that game motivate them more? So is it a positive or a negative?
I think it'll be in the back of their minds, especially if the game is really tight down the stretch. If it's like a one or two possession game down the stretch, I can see them really getting a little tight when it comes to possessing the ball. And that's kind of what worries me. And I was talking about Hoyle and Ryan is if they give up those turnovers, can they afford it? And it kind of ties back to my point of dominating the glasses. If they can do that, they should have a big enough cushion to where it's not a huge issue for them with, maybe a minute and a half left when the pressure really turns on. They'll have that cushion. They can afford a couple turnovers. I think it goes. I think a big thing too is they're not playing the Rebels, even though DuPont and Jansen are on that team. Mentally, they're not playing the Rebels, so it's not the same. It's not the same subconscious worry that you're going to have. So I think they'll be okay, and I think they'll be able to handle the pressure. Tuan is probably going to get fouled down the stretch. So Tuan, make your free throws, or else you're going to be watching the championship on Thursday night from the sidelines, pal.
Pressure's on, Antoine. Okay, the second game of the night. Two-seeded Rebels, three-seeded Avengers. A rematch of a Gold Cup game a couple of seasons back that the Avengers took down. Actually, I want to. Have they played in two Gold Cups? Because when the Rebels won their last, the Rebels beat the Guerrillas in their last. Okay, yeah. So forget that. Last time they met was in a Gold Cup that the Avengers did win. Who do you have in it? Or keys to this game first off, and then who do you have in it?
Well, it's hard. I mean, it's going to be really tough to stop. Rebels have the same advantage that the Goodfellas have over off constantly, and that's their ridiculous amount of size. I mean, Ferber and Klobe are just two, massive presence down low. And then Epple is no slouch either when he decides to show up, and I'm guessing he'll show up tomorrow or for tonight's games. That means all the Avengers players are really going to have to play bigger than their size. Briggs is obviously going to have to play against Klobe, and that's going to be a huge disadvantage for the Avengers because he doesn't necessarily log as many minutes as Klobe does. So now who guards Klobe? Do you put Maher on him? That's going to be a huge mismatch. Regenscheid? I mean, there really is no answer for him. The only thing that the Avengers might be able to do is if they play small ball and really take advantage of, swarming Klobe and forcing him to guard the perimeter and hopefully kind of leave him no man's land and kind of exchange 3 for 2. That's their only hope. The guards should be able to offset. I mean, I think 1 through 3, both teams are really solid, really reliable. And as long as the Avengers don't turn the ball over, they'll have plenty of chances to stay in that game regardless of how many points Klobe scores down low. And the tough thing with Klobe is he's a good free throw shooter, so you can't necessarily, do the hack of Klobe because he'll likely bury, 7 out of 10 free throws. So double down often. Hopefully you can kind of get him in trouble, pick up some turnovers off of him, maybe front him, make him throw the ball over the top, and just box him out. Because if Klobe and Ferber crash the glass and the Avengers don't find bodies, it really doesn't matter how well the Avengers execute, they won't be able to win that game. So I think purely off of expending the most energy, the Avengers are going to have to expend a lot of energy for the first 30-35 minutes of that game as a team trying to stop second chance points and trying to stop Klobe and that break that Dustin DuPont typically runs once the rebound comes up, that I think the last 10 minutes are really going to be challenging for the Avengers. So I'm going to say the Rebels win, and I'm going to say they end up winning by double digits. I'm going to say it's going to be a 10 to 14 point game just because I think they'll be up comfortably with about 2-3 minutes left, maybe 6 to 8 points, and the Avengers are really going to start to press, and they're going to have tired legs and not going to be able to make their shots to get them back in that game, and the Rebels will extend the lead by free throws.
Well, it should be a very interesting night. The championship game is in Bloomington South this season, so you're predicting Rebels, Goodfellas. I sort of made that same prediction last Thursday in a I guess in a different sort of way. So we'll see. Hoping for some good games tomorrow night. Any final thoughts before winter season Final Four?
No. When was the last time the 1 and 2 seed made it to the championship? If this actually happens, I can't remember. I mean, it's gone. This playoffs is outside of the play-in games has gone relatively. What are the upsets?
Well, and I mean that's the thing is that it's been such a great postseason too. Even though we do have the 1, 2, 3, and 5 seed here in the Final Four, there's been so many great games. There's been so many good finishes. There's been controversy. There's been upsets. There's been everything. So this has been a very good postseason.
So has there been anybody against the chalk? Oh, against the Warriors. The Warriors was the only team from 1 through 16 that advanced, right? That one being the lower seed, correct?
Yeah.
Well, technically, and the 8-9 you throw out, that's a toss-up game. The Warriors beat the 6. The Bulls beat the Gorillas 7-10. There's nothing there. Sock Thumpers advanced. The 1 through 5 advanced. So really, there's only one upset in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, and I mean that was Warrior Squires is darn close. So yeah, tomorrow night hoping to see many of UH Nation out to the games. Come out and watch what we hope will be 2 great Final Four games. And then again, the championship game for both Open and Rec will be Thursday, Bloomington South. Thanks again for joining us, or thanks again for joining me tonight, Mr. Alkafas. We will see you tomorrow night.
See ya.